Good morning to my teachers and fellow friends. My name is Feng Shumain. So today I'm going to do a presentation of the analysis of effectiveness in teacher talk as my TSLB 3422 classroom language task 1 assignment. So let's start. Okay, analysis of teacher talk. Okay, so first thing we have to know what is teacher talk. Teacher talk, actually also known as classroom language, is the language used in classroom for communication interaction. It refers to the language used by teacher in the lessons, and it could be divided into four categories: giving instruction, questioning strategy, managing behavior, and giving feedback. So basically, classroom language is actually includes every language, everything that the teacher said to communicate and facilitate the lesson in the classroom. Whatever the teacher said, it could be considered as teacher's talk. The language that he used in the classroom, thus is called classroom language. So, this is just I only gave two importance of teacher talk, but actually there's more. I'm trying to save time right now. I'm sorry. Okay, so teacher talk, there are two main importance. First is to ensure the lesson effectiveness. This is the biggest importance of teacher talk. So, in order for a lesson to be effective, the teacher talk have to be effective because mainly, even though now we practice student-centered learning, but teacher as the one who facilitate the lesson, he still have to give clear instructions. He still have to manage the student behavior. He still have to deliver the knowledge. As such, the teacher talk he use or she use must be effective to ensure that he able to deliver the knowledge well, to ensure that the discipline are in order. So all of this combined to ensure that the whole lesson, the main aim, the thing he's trying to deliver, can be delivered. So it ensures the lesson effectiveness. Second is encourage student participation. Some students may be introvert and they don't like to join in a lot. In this kind of situation, the teacher talk become important as you need to promote the student participation. You have to encourage them. Even though the students are introvert, you can't just leave them on their own. You have to go and then maybe ask like, you want to try something like that, so that the students' participation can also increase. So the effectiveness of teacher talk, I have analyzed 4 video clip and have analyzed the effectiveness of the teacher talk that they use in the video. I have seen why the teacher talk they use are effective. That's the main thing I've been analyzing and why is it effective. So first aspect, giving instruction. Giving instruction is the process of the teacher directing student to do something. It includes instruction for tasks, explaining the lesson, starting and ending the lesson, and even clarifying the lessons. Recording this so well, giving instruction is very important and is directly influence the learning process. So giving instruction is the main teacher talk that we use because the main thing we teach is delivering the knowledge, right? And doing activity, all of these go under the giving instruction. So it's actually very important. Actually, it's also come with certain benefits such as encouraging participation, enhance thinking, enhance student participation, ensure the learning effectiveness, ensure the lesson can proceed smoothly. All of this is the importance of giving instruction. So, this is the video that I have been analyzed, and I have observed detailedly, I have observed carefully the teacher talk that this teacher used in his classroom. This teacher is called Teacher Matt. He is called Teacher Matt. So I have analyzed the teacher talk that he used, and I come up with 5 points for each aspect why this teacher talk is effective. So this is the sketch note I have do. So the first point, why his instruction that he gave is effective? Because it is clear and precise. It allows students to understand easily and avoid misunderstanding. For example, from the video, he says, all girls stand up. It is very clear who the girls do what, stand up, so the student can comply. Sometimes the teacher when the teacher gave instruction, he gave a very long sentence and then he keep on beating around the bush. You should not do that. You should very clear and precise, just straight to the point. What you should do and who should do what. So the student can understand easily and there's no misunderstanding. So the class can proceed more smoothly. Second is use simple words. Just like the first point, when you shouldn't use long language, long sentence, you shouldn't use difficult vocabulary too. This is a second language classroom, and sometimes the students are not that proficient yet in the language. So the word you use should match the student proficiency, and you shouldn't use too difficult words. You should just keep it simple. So, as an example from the video, teacher might say, "Everyone say it together." This four words is really easy. Everyone can comply. So the student after listening, they can understand what they should do now and comply very fast and very easily. Third, repeat the instruction. So you repeat the instruction to ensure that every student are clear of the instruction and you repeat to capture the student attention. Because sometimes in the class, the teacher are talking, sorry, the student are talking. So you have to capture the student attention. You couldn't always class, like that, right? So sometimes you just repeat the instruction 2 times. Even if the student miss it the first time, it also act as catching their attention, then they can listen in for the second time. And it's also ensure the student are clear. Sometimes when you say the first time, the student aren't so clear. I'm sorry, what now, like that? So you repeat a second time to ensure that every student are clear and they listen into the instruction. So for example, the teacher might say, "Everyone sit nicely, everyone sit nicely." He repeat twice. It's actually also emphasizing what he asked the student to do. So the fourth total physical response, also known as TPR, is an approach that teacher use body movement to elicit response from the students. So actually, this is very very effective type of teacher talk because sometimes the student can't understand the language if they have low proficiency, but you can still understand the action, right? Also, the action kind of emphasize the language. So, for example, teacher might raise his hand as a sign that students should raise hand before speaking. Before that, the teacher already said, if you want to answer the question, please raise your hand. For the second question, he doesn't have to repeat the same instruction same time again. He just raised his hand like this. The student know that they should raise their hand before speaking. So this is very effective lah because if the teacher don't have to repeat every time and the student can see very clearly what the teacher asked them to do, right? So the fifth is speak at slower pace. Slow down the explanation so the students can understand and digest the instruction. Sometimes as an adult and an English speakers, sometimes they will speak so fast. And the student cannot catch it because their proficiency is not that high, or just sometimes they need time to digest the instruction. So the student should say the instruction one by one. For example, the teacher, he repeat one thing first, A, then he give the student time to proceed before he continue with B. And then he doesn't speak so fast, he repeats slowly. Okay, he said like, students, look at the whiteboard. Now we're going to play a guessing game. I repeat slowly so the student can understand one by one and digest the instruction. Okay, next aspect, questioning strategies. So, questioning strategies are the techniques used by the teacher to propose a question to the students. It is crucial in teaching and learning, and it tests student understanding, prompt critical thinking and creative thinking, and reinforce knowledge. So, questioning strategy is actually very important because it acts as assessment. It tests student understanding. Whenever you have a lesson, you have to see whether the objective is achieved or not. So how you can do this, you have to access them. And the easiest assessing way is questioning. Just ask them to see whether they understand or not. Did they get the knowledge point? And also to prompt student critical and creative thinking. Questioning, there are a lot of types. So other than the normal questions, the procedural question, which is the normal question like, have you done your homework? Like that. This is the instruction, but this is the common questions. And also we have the convergent question, which is just like factual and yes or no question. Then we have the divergent question. Divergent question is kind of like high order thinking skills is acceptable as long as it is logical. So this kind of question can truly prompt student critical thinking. You ask a question and then you ask why or how or what do you think? This type of question, it prompts student thinking. It's out of the book and out of the box. It doesn't always like Malaysia independent in 1957. You ask, oh, what time did Malaysia independence? This is all very factual. We need to prompt student thinking. So we need to ask even higher order questions. So the last benefits, not benefits, the role is to reinforce the knowledge. Sorry. Sorry, because sometimes as the students learn, this lesson is very long, 1 hour lesson. Sometimes what the student learn at the beginning, it can start to fade at the end of the lesson. So the student have to ask questions to reinforce the knowledge, to refresh it. It can also be done at the beginning of every lesson to reinforce prior knowledge. So this is the lesson I analyzed, and this is the schedule I came up with. So now let's go into it. Why is the teacher talk that used in the video effective? First, the teacher gathers student attention before asking question. This ensures that student can pay attention to the question asked. So as shown in the video, the teacher wait for the student to quiet down before asking question. When the student is chaotic and talking, he just wait for maybe like a few seconds. Then the student will start to feel weird, right? Why isn't the teacher talking? And then they will start to quiet down. And then only the teacher say, okay, and then he asks his question. Because gather student attention before asking question is very important so they can engage all students. If you ask a question and the student are not paying attention, then there's no point because no one actually listen to you. So you have to gather the attention. Second is provide time for students to think. The teacher should wait for a while after ask a question. The suggested wait time is 3 to 5 seconds. This is to ensure that all students are engaged with the question before you appoint someone to ask. So for example, the teacher asks, do you prefer summer or winter? But he doesn't ask anyone else yet. He doesn't appoint someone else yet. He just asks to the whole class in general and then wait for a while before he's like, okay, Sean, then only ask Sean to answer. This effectively engage all the students in the question because if you already asked the question, what do you prefer, summer or winter, Sean? Then other students don't have to think about it anymore. So to make every student think about it, you don't appoint someone first. You wait for a while before you appoint other people. So third is ask divergent question. I have explained what is divergent question. As long as logical, it is accepted. So this is to further stimulate the student thinking and promote critical thinking. For example, is it what season do you prefer, summer or winter? Short answer, summer. And then you ask why. You need to come up with a reason. There must be a reason behind your answer, right? So you prompt critical thinking. Or you can ask like, how do this thing happen? This is also a type of divergent question. It promotes critical thinking. It asks students to think beyond the textbook and go into the reasoning. Why? So the fourth is engage all students. To make it effective, you have to engage all students. You have to engage all students, all emphasizing on the all. Do not focus or target just a few students. So as an example, in this whole video, the teacher almost asked every student in the class to at least do one thing or answer one question. So the teacher keep on switching person like Sean, and then next question maybe Elon or Gary. You just keep switching around so that all students can participate in the lesson, but not just a few good students or not just a few bad students, but all students are a part of this lesson. So the fifth is use body language. Body language is help in expressing the question and it's fun learning and more engaging. So other than you just stood stoically and then you just ask, do you like rain? Can I, do you like rain? It makes the lesson more fun. So next aspect is managing behavior. Managing behavior refers to the process teacher changing or correcting student behavior to ensure that the lesson can process smoothly. This lesson is implemented in the classroom to ensure that the discipline is in order. It plays a role in creating conducive environment and usually achieved through establishing routine, reinforce positive attitude, and curbing negative behavior. So managing behavior essentially refers to our classroom management. It is to ensure that the discipline is in order. In order for a lesson to be effective, for the teacher talk to be effective, you have to ensure that the student at least won't act out or won't shout when you are talking, right? So this managing behavior, this type of teacher talk works to ensure that the lesson process smoothly and the teacher can actually teach. So it plays a role in creating a conducive environment. As I said just now, he keep all the students quiet. It makes sure the students are on their best behavior so that the lesson can actually learn, so the student can actually get the input. So this is the video clip that I have analyzed, and I come up with this sketch note to say why the teacher talk he used is effective. So first, he established a classroom routine. So as a routine, he ingrains certain behavior or words into the student. So as an example, the teacher he set 6 rules and make the student repeat it every time before the lesson. The 6th rule is sit nicely, be quiet, clear your desk, eyes on teacher mat, listen to teacher mat, and raise your hand. So all of these 6 rules, he ensure that the student repeat it every time before class. So this is actually also a type of conditioning aligned to the behaviorism theory. So whenever the student remember, you keep on repeat, it kind of ingrained into their behavior that they should act like this. So this type of routine ensure the student discipline are in order, and it is very effective. It is effective rather than you just say every time sit nicely. No, you straight out establish it as a rules. You just say, okay, student, this is the rules. You have to sit nicely. So this is more effective. Second, enforce the class rule. Whenever you establish a class rule, you didn't just establish it for the sake of establishing it. You have to enforce it to make sure that the student discipline are actually in order. So for example, from the video, as soon as the teacher might see that the student are getting tired, they're starting to slump, the teacher might say, sit nicely, and then the student will just straight up sit nicely. This action also show the teacher authority and control in the classroom. So this is more effective rather than you just scolding them. You enforce the rules. Thus this is effective in managing their behavior. So third, gamification. Sometimes just classroom may not be enough. So teacher might also use a game scoring system to manage the classroom. If the student act as they want or they answer a question, the teacher will give marks. However, if the student act out or they like shouting in the class, creating chaos, the mark will be deducted. So this actually play on their psychology. Student want to win. So as long as the student want to win, as long as they want to play, they will act as you said to get the marks. So for example, the teacher say be quiet, trim 3, you lose 3 marks because the student are still talking. At the situation, the student are very chaotic. He asked the student to quiet down, but after asking a few times, the team 3 student are still talking, so the teacher just reduced to deduct mark. Just go to deduct mark, and the teacher keep a letterboard on the blackboard just to keep track of the students' mark and also to ensure it's fair, like the mark is up there for everyone to see. So this type of gamification is actually very effective because as I said just now, as long as the student want to play and they want to win, they will adhere to your instruction. So fourth, be strict but don't shout. Actually, shouting is very ineffective in lesson because shouting only turn you into a shouting match. Whenever you raise your voice, the student who wants to talk, they will still talking. So they will raise their voice even higher, and at the end, the classroom is just a shouting match. Even if you manage to do class, keep quiet, and the student keep quiet, it's just going to be a while. It doesn't solve the problem. So you actually have to show a strict demeanor to show that you're not someone who you can mess with. So the student will actually listen to you. This is your authority. You need to demonstrate your own authority. So for example, in the video, the students are chaotic discussing the question. And the teacher is saying something, but the student can't listen because the voice are too loud. So the teacher just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the student will quiet down because the teacher start counting down. So this is the type of the strict demeanor you should establish rather than just shouting, student, keep quiet. This is very ineffective. The effective way is your aura, your authority. So you demonstrate strict behavior. The fifth is immediate reprimand. When you're managing behavior, when the student act out, you saw something you don't like, you reprimand them. The reprimandation should be done immediately after they do the behavior. This is prompt student to change immediately and do not repeat the action. For example, in the video, the teacher see a student already slumping already, trying to sleep already. The teacher straight up point the student and then say, sit nicely, thank you. This is why the reprimandation should be done immediately. Because if you wait for a while, it kind of lose the impact. If you want a student to change, you set it immediately so they can change the behavior immediately, and then they know not to repeat anymore. But if the behavior is already done, already passed, even passed for some time, only you start to reprimand them, the the reprimandation that you give doesn't hold a lot of sway anymore. It doesn't hold its authority anymore. So whenever the student commits something, reprimand immediately. Only then it is effective. So all these 5 points show that how why the teacher thought that he utilized effective and how we should make it more effective. So giving feedback, this is the last aspect. Giving feedback is to ensure that the students are on the right track and can improve their performance. So the main aim of giving feedback is for the student to make improvement. It could be both positive and negative. And this is the video clip I have analyzed, and this is the sketch notes I have analyzed I have due to analyze why the teacher thought he used is effective. So first is give compliment. As I said, the one of them is to encourage positive behavior. So how can you encourage positive behavior? You give compliments, you encourage the student participation, and you build up their confidence. So whenever the teacher asks the student to answer questions or ask the student to do anything, after they finish, the teacher will always say, "Good job," as as a sign of your appreciation and as an encouragement. Second is practical advice. So actually, the main aim of feedback is still for the student to improve. So the feedback should be something that the student can apply and correct. If the feedback is unrelated or it is not something that up to the student can't change it, then it's not the student fault, then you shouldn't give the advice or the feedback to the student. The advice you've given should be practical and should actually could be reflected in their behavior. So for example, in the video, the student said learn, the teacher said learned to make the pronunciation better. So you correct the student pronunciation. This is something that they could change. But if you give advice on something that they couldn't change, then the feedback is ineffective because it's not up to them. Third is phrase feedback as a question. So this is for when you're giving negative feedback, when you try to correct something, the feedback provide in a question prompt student to answer the question correctly, but didn't hurt their confidence. Sometimes if the student answer wrongly, you just say, "Oh, that's wrong," in front of the whole class. It may hurt their confidence. So what the teacher do in this video is he asked, "What do you do in this summer?" The student answer, "I do my homework." Then the teacher say, "You do your homework or you did your homework?" Uh, this is to show the past tense. So this type of feedback is actually preserves their confidence as it did not streak out criticizing them in front of the whole class. But at the same time, it also make the student realize that, oh, they are wrong. But the teacher say that they are wrong without saying that they are wrong. They frame it as a question. So it's more accepting to the students. The fourth is body language. As in front I have said, body language is actually very good, a very effective way to ensure your teacher talk because it shows agreement to spoken word and it emphasizes the feedback. So for example, when the teacher are saying good to the student, he also give two thumbs up, good. This really emphasize the feedback or at least a nod to show that your appreciation and you acknowledge his contribution to the classroom. So this is the effectiveness of the teacher talk in the video before, how he do, why he do it, so the teacher talk is effective. But of course, there's still ways for improvement. So this improvement I gave is on the teacher talk as a whole. How you can improve your whole teacher talk, disregarding the aspect. First is be patient. As a teacher, patience is virtual in a classroom. No matter which type of teacher talk you're using, you must be patient. Sometimes the student may act out. It is kind of hard to prevent because the students, they're active, they're still young, they're still children, they like to play. So sometimes you just have to be patient with them. Maybe repeat your teacher talk a few times to ensure that all the students can listen to what you're saying. Or maybe just say it slowly enough so the student can listen. So be patient. Second is speak proper English. Actually, teacher talk, other than its main aim to ensure the lesson effectiveness, it's actually also act as an input because if you're in a second language classroom, the student may not have a lot of exposure to the language. They mostly still stick to their mother tongue. So teacher talk also act as an input other than the lesson you're trying to teach. So when you're speaking teacher talk, when you're giving instruction, when you're giving feedback, the language you use, you should be make sure that it is correct grammar, you correct vocabulary, the language you use is correct. Third is you should plan your teacher talk beforehand. Well, you don't have to plan it word by word. It's like the lesson RPH, like a lesson plan. It's always good to have the framework of what you're going to say. For example, giving instruction. When you do a lesson plan, you already have a learning activity. You should also think of how you should give the instruction so the student can get it clearly and could do the learning activity. Of course, as I said, not word by word, not so rigid the thing, but you should still have a framework so you have a clearer understanding of what you should do in the classroom. So, as conclusion, teacher talk is very important and each type of teacher talk has its role in the classroom. Teacher must learn to utilize this teacher talk effectively so the lesson can proceed smoothly as it direct influence the effectiveness of the classroom. So, in adhere to this, I have analyzed the 4 video clip I have found and I analyzed why this teacher talk is effective, what type of strategy he used, what did he do to make this teacher talk so effective. I've analyzed and I've come up with 4 sketch notes. And so I can conclude that it really is important and each type has its own roles. They all manage different things. Giving instruction is to ensure the flow of the lessons, to make sure the student can get the knowledge input. Questioning strategy is to assess the student and prompt their thinking. Managing behavior is to ensure the discipline. Giving feedback is to encourage the student or correct their performance. So all of them have their own roles, and all of this you have to utilize in the classroom. So the lesson is effective. So this is the reference I have done. And so this concludes my analysis on the effectiveness of teacher talk. Thank you.